Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto has ultimate power and developed a few special abilities, part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this and comment for next part. And now let's start the fanfic. You see, as the humans expanded and grew in power, they began to become arrogant and filthy creatures, living in everlasting war with each other. Every year, less and less were judged worthy of joining with Kami. After so many were judged to be unworthy and sent to be cleansed, Kami began to wonder what was happening to his creations to cause this. Wait, how could Kami not know what's going on? Isn't he all-powerful and all-knowing? No, even Kami rested after creating the universe. He is all-powerful compared to any other being in existence, and even I don't know where he came from. He is all-knowing for the fact that nothing can be hidden from his eyes. Your thoughts, feelings, intentions, past, and even your future are all his to witness when he wants to, but if he is not looking he does not know. He can only watch one world at a time and know what is happening there. Even Kami has cosmic rules that must be followed. Because of this, he did not see what was becoming of the cleansing souls. To say Naruto's world was rocked was an understatement. He had never been a follower of religion or really considered the ways of the universe, but to discover that the ultimate being was fallible is quite the shock. As Kyuubi noticed his stupefied look, she decided this was just a little too much information at the moment. Well, I've gotten off topic. Long story short, Kami decided to wipe the slate clean after solving the problem of the cleansing souls and started again. This time though, he also created intelligent creatures other than humans. In other words, he created the summons, and demons, or elemental spirits, to maintain the cosmic balance. The summons were originally created to guard the borders between the 5 worlds, and to ensure this they were given the ability to move between them freely. The demons though were created to balance and maintain the elements that made up the universe. Both demons and summons were created in the appearance of the animals of the human world, only on a grander scale, since in truth, we were working together for the same goal as the others. After all this was done, Kami decided to rest and leave the world he created in the hands, or paws, of his guards and caretakers. Naruto had taken to running his claws through his tail as he listened intently to everything he was hearing. He didn't understand everything, but he knew this was something no one else probably knew. Things were fine for some time until the convergence I told you about happened for the first time. The energy created by the workings and life of the 5 worlds built up until it collided with each other. Beings of all 5 worlds were thrown between the borders and caused chaos. The ones thrown into heaven were returned almost immediately, the ones thrown into hell died instantly, the summon realm was guarded, and the ones in the demon realm couldn't survive the harsh environment and colliding elemental forces, so these were no problem at all. The human realm, however, was a different story altogether. Because it was so calm, demons, summons, and humans were mixed together here. This was the start of the war between the 3 that would last for nearly 4,500 years. In a shaky voice that was almost a whisper, Naruto asked, "Ths can't be true, can it? I mean, there's no way." Looking down at the confused boy, Kyuubi lowered her head to be more level with the boy. With as much of a soothing voice as she could make, she said, "I know this is a lot to understand, Naruto-kun, but you need to know this to understand what is happening to you. You would have eventually asked question that would have led to this anyway, so it's better to explain it now while we have time. And it lets me keep you distracted while I finish." Composing himself and taking a few moments to clear his head and process what he had heard so far, Naruto finally believed he at least understood what was told to him. He then locked eyes with Kyuubi and gave a nod and a swish of his tail. "Very well, I will make this as brief as I can." The summons instantly decided that they needed to return everything to normal to protect the balance, as is their duty. The demons, which had been locked into the horrible elemental realm and never seen such a peaceful place, wanted to stay. This is what started the war. While the summons were powerful and had abilities of their own, the millennia of inactivity had made them weak, while the demons living in their hellish realm were stronger, more resilient, and could bend the elements to their will for battle. The realm that I and all other demons come from is horrible. It is always chaotic with clashing elements and is barely livable outside the areas the demons are aligned to. Because of these conditions, many of us grew cruel and sadistic. We had to fight with each other for the livable areas. One clan would battle another constantly. This is why the demons are so strong. Is that why you said the war lasted 4,500 years? Because the summons were lazy and the demons were hardened by their day-to-day lives. Yes, the war was long, hard, and even after our best efforts eventually dragged the ninja into it after the first 1,000 years or so on the summons side. During the 1,000 years of battle, the humans observed and learned of the energy the demons used to bend the elements as well as how the summons used their techniques. This was the beginning of chakra. Even though humans couldn't use Yuki like we demons can, they were able to learn how to use chakra combined with the ways of the summons to imitate us. Naruto slowly nodded. It made some sense when he thought about it. You see, this war was not only how jutsu started, it is how the summon contracts were forged as well. The summons needed reinforcements because the ones that were brought to this world during the convergence were wiped out after the first 2,000 years of the war, so the humans that had discovered chakra during this time worked with the remaining summons to create the contracts to bring reinforcements. You see, this is also the way your Kage Bunshin was created. Seriously, Kyuubi, how was that? Asked Naruto with stars for eyes and tail waging. With a slight giggle, even though the summons originally could move freely between the borders, after the convergence they were unable to and still can't to this day without a human summoning them. When the ninja first attempted this, it was a complete failure. Even though they could reach the summon realm, they did not have the power to pull the summons forth. Even when hundreds of humans gathered, they still didn't have enough power. I even lack the power to do that. Wait, if that's true, then how do we summon today? That is where Kage Bunshin comes in. Tell me, how does that jutsu work? Do you even understand it? Not really. In the scroll, all it said is that you pull together air and other things in the atmosphere and hold them together with your chakra. You know half the jutsu. If that's how you form the body, where does the mind come from? Naruto simply looks on with puppy dog eyes. Your soul, Naruto-kun, every time you make a Kage Bunshin, you place a small piece of your soul in it. That is why they take so much chakra, why you can hear each other's thoughts, and why, when they are dispelled, you know what they know. A Kage Bunshin is a part of your soul, and that is where the connection comes from. Naruto just stares off blankly. This is also how summoning works. By signing the contract, you exchange a piece of your soul with the group of summons the contract belongs to. This allows you to make a Kage Bunshin in the form of the creature you are calling and place their soul into it. That is also why summons can't die, they are not really here. Because of their powerful souls and the amount of chakra used to create the body, it's as if they are really here even if they are much weaker because of this. In reality, summons and demons are equal in strength, but because the summon creatures are here in proxy bodies, their powers are limited. Just as one of your Kage Bunshin are. This is way too much information, so if this war had never happened, not only world high-level shinobi not have summoning contracts, there wouldn't even be shinobi, would there? Probably not, since humans only learned of chakra from their contact with demons and summons. To finish the explanation of the war, eventually some humans sided with demons for their own profit, survival, or strangely enough, love of them. By the end of the war, the original demons were all but dead for one reason or another, and the war had been won in their descendants' favor, even though most didn't remember why the war had even started. By this time, the leaders of the realms of the summons and demons had contacted Kami-sama for help. In an odd voice, you spoke to Kami. No, not directly anyway. At the time, I and the other Biju were the strongest of the demons, not the wisest. Kami agreed to allow a select few demons and summons to enter the human world in our real bodies to restore balance and free the humans. This is when we first appeared in human history and legend. When we arrived, it was horribly easy to restore balance. It didn't even take 50 years to do so. Once we were done and prepared to return, as were our orders, we as well as the summons received orders to remain here to maintain the balance in Kami's name. We were ordered to hide and stay out of the affairs of the world as a whole, which we demons didn't like at all. We believed that we should be able to at least wander if we wished. But you and the other Biju appear many times in history. Doesn't that mean you disobeyed orders? Good question. The summons asked if they could just leave their contracts with their chosen humans so they could return to their kin and home. Which was a very good idea for them. It allowed the guardians to always have contact with the humans as well as be happy and live their own lives since, unlike us, summons are not immortal. They can be killed just like us, but unlike us, they can and will grow old and die. As Naruto was listening intently to the explanation of ancient history and legend, he completely missed when Kyuubi stopped referring to him as human and began speaking of him with words like, us instead. I wonder how he will react. Will he hate me? I couldn't blame him for it. I just hope the truth doesn't break him. He's been through so much and come so far. I don't want to be the one to ruin him, but he needs to know these things. He needs to understand and be ready for what's to come. To think, the next convergence is in only 13 years. While the summons were allowed to return home and happy for it, the 9 Biju were ecstatic about being able to remain in this world. Each of us was even given a region to reside in that had an abundance of our aligned element to make us more comfortable. For the next 3,000 years or so, we were content and happy with our freedom. Every so often a war of humans would break out or we would have to act to maintain the elemental balance, but all in all we were left in peace. At least until humans created Fujins. Kyuubi suddenly became quiet and was grating her claws against the cage floor with barely repressed rage in her eyes. Naruto noticed this and started backing up instinctively. When Kyuubi heard the sound of water moving and noticed Naruto's scared expression, she immediately softened her features and tried to calm him. I'm sorry, Kit. I didn't mean to scare you. With this soft reassuring, Naruto immediately calmed and returned to his original place, if not a little closer. Are you all right, Kyuubi? I thought you were about to throw me into the wall again. With a soft giggle from Kyuubi that made Naruto smile, she spoke again, No, Naruto-kun, I'm fine. It's just some bad memories. One by one, every one of my fellow Biju was sealed by humans, either into ancient artifacts or into other humans, as you very well know. Naruto subconsciously touches the seal on his stomach. Your Yondaime sealed me away to protect his village. This was a good and honorable reason, but at the time of the sealing of my comrades, the human hunted us down to use us as weapons in their war. One by one my friends were sealed for greed, power, fear or other reasons just as foolish, and just to do so as well. At the time, I was in a deep sleep from stopping a massive battle that would have destroyed my region and knew nothing of the sealing. When I had woken up, all of them were gone and I was only able to find a few. One was sealed into a tea kettle in Kei's no Kuni, I could sense 2 were in Mizu no Kuni, 1 in Raiko no Kuni, and finally 1 in Tsuchi no Kuni. Out of the 9 of us, 5 were sealed and the other 3 I was never able to find. At the realization that I was alone, I returned to my sleep for the next 100 years until I was awakened by humans. At this point, Naruto could easily see the pain and confusion in her eyes, and for the first time, he didn't see her as a demon that ruined his life, he saw another lonely being in pain. In a soothing voice, Naruto said, They hurt you, didn't they? Whatever they did, it made you confused. I don't know what they did, but I do know that whenever I tell Ayame Nichan and Tsukijiji about what's happened to me, I feel better afterwards. If you're willing to tell me, I'll listen. Kyuubi, for the second time in her long existence, was shocked. The boy whose life she ruined and brought so much pain to because of her own foolish mistake and rash action was being kind to her. She was never surprised by the acts of humans or other demons. She knew never to expect much. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I was going to tell you anyway, but the reassurance is nice. Taking a breath and looking at the boy at her feet giving her a very vulpine grin, she continued. After years of sleep, I was awoken by about 10 humans entering my den. At first, I didn't think of them as a threat as they circled around me. All I did was keep an eye on them. That was my mistake. They started to perform strange movements with their hands that are different from the hand seals you use, and then I was caught in some sort of strange energy that I couldn't recognize. It wasn't chakra or yuki. It hurt very much, and I suppose they believed they had caught me because one of them began laughing, saying, "We did it. The power of Kyuubi no Yoko is ours." When I heard this, I lost myself to rage. These humans were just like the rest and wanted me just like my fellow Biju. In an instant, I broke their hold and killed 3 of them with a swing of my tail and began chasing the others. I followed them deep into Hai no Kuni. One of them while running turned to me and said the simple words. "Please don't be angry with us, Kyuubi-sama. We were only following Hokage-sama's orders." At the end of that statement, I stopped my pursuit of those humans and headed straight for Konoha. I believe you know the rest. So Konoha was framed by these people and it caused your imprisonment, hundreds of deaths, mass destruction and my lost chance at a happy life. Yes, most likely Naruto-kun, but it's my fault as well. If I hadn't lost myself to rage, none of this would have happened. Naruto looked into Kyuubi's eyes. No, you're a victim in this like the rest. Do you know who these humans are or the one who spoke to you? No, they were covered in black cloaks. The only thing I know is that the one who spoke to me had a set of eyes that I'll never forget. They were bright yellow with black slits with purple lines going around them and ending in points along his nose set into pale white skin. As Kyuubi described the eyes, a vision of them appeared in front of the cage. Naruto swore to himself to never forget those eyes. Don't worry, Kyuubi, everything is alright now. Can you please explain these changes now that I know the history? Now understand, Naruto-kun, most of these changes were already happening and would have continued to this point eventually because of the seal absorbing my power at its own pace. Originally you wouldn't have gotten to this point until you had absorbed a decent amount of my power, or you reached 18 years old, I would guess. Because of the reconstruction I did, the changes happened quicker than they would have originally. What are these improvements exactly? I'm sure you've noticed some of them already. You mean I'm going to have a ing tail? Wincing at the shriek Naruto had let out, Kyuubi just shrugged before saying, "No. I don't know why you have a tail while you're here, but if I was to guess, I would say it's your mind's way of measuring how much of my power you've absorbed, like your tattoos or maybe the connection between our souls." Huh, was Naruto's intelligent reply. What's with the tattoos anyway? He asked as he held up his slightly glowing arm. Kyuubi looks off to the side for a moment and watched the markings extend from the wall and finally into the cage. I wonder if he will not like this. The tattoos are my solution for your weakened circulatory system. Before this, I was always able to leak more of my power into your system at any time to heal you and keep you safe. It was my defense system that I was always able to send more power, but now that I was forced to make this new system, I won't be able to protect you like I used to by sending my Yuki to help. Kyuubi then looked down with a worried and serious expression. If I even sent enough Yuki to you at the moment to heal a broken bone, you would die from your system rupturing. So my healing was always you helping me. I guess that makes sense. I always wondered how I did that, but what do these marks have to do with anything? I have studied the Shiku Fujin extensively over the years and came up with these seals. I originally created them so that one day I could make my vessel stronger. I knew that one day the seal would weaken enough for me to place them and allow you to use my power easier. Now they are a way of survival for the both of us. It will be some time before you can use my Yuki in any decent amount with this new system. In effect, these work the same way the seal did when it took my power and leaked it into your chakra system to strengthen you and contain me. These seals allow me to send power straight to your body. By doing this, I bypass your weakened system and directly enhance your healing factor. But doing it this way damages your muscles and has a very strict time limit once activated. So in effect, this will only be for extreme emergencies. Not to mention my Yuki in large amounts is just as damaging as it is healing. Naruto was quiet for a moment as he tried to process what Kyuubi had just said, so these marks are just a way for me to use your power until my inner system can use it again. Yes and no, they are a way for you to use my power indirectly at the moment, but I originally made them so you could draw on my power through your inner system and the tattoos in unison. It was my version of a filter. This way you could have drawn on more power than you normally would have been able to and not have damaged yourself as much. But to my disappointment, I found that these seals normally draw on small amounts of my power, just as the Shiku Fujin does. I can force more power through them, but for only a few moments at a time or I risk hurting you and damaging the seals. I am looking for a way to extend the time limit. So the tattoos are an emergency way for me to use more Yuki. Will they always show like this, and what's this about your power hurting me? The tattoos will only show when enough Yuki is flowing through them and disappear from view when not. As for why my power is damaging, humans were never meant to wield my level of power. Your body is put under great strain when you use it. That includes healing you. I won't bore you with how, but normally when you use my Yuki, it is forced through your system and smothers your chakra out of the way. My plan was to split the strain by having some flow through the seals and some flow with your chakra system. You would still get the same level of power, but only half the strain on your system. I won't even pretend to understand that, but I get there to help, for emergencies, and will make me stronger. Is there anything else about them, and what about this tail? You said it was a measure of power. What does that mean? There are other uses for them, but we will leave that for later. You understand the idea of the seals basically. As for power, I guess I'll have to explain this too. Ninjan have a limit to the chakra their bodies can hold by the physical conditioning they've been through and how well trained they are. That is why you must train physically and mentally to prepare for high-level jutsu. We demons on the other hand simply grow in strength with age and the need for power, such as the harsh environment and elements we deal with and control. We start with one tail to store our Yuki in, and as soon as it's filled we grow another. This process takes hundreds of years per tail, and most demons don't live long enough to claim the title of a Biju, even if they grow multiple ones. Does that mean there are more than the 9 Biju in this world? Also, what are the other Biju? You're a fox, so what of the others? We will leave the specifics of the other Biju for another time. To answer your question, there are only 9 Biju, and the other demons with the same number of tails fight the current holder for their title as a Biju. By now though, I would guess there is a new set of Biju in the demon realm. About your appearance while here, Naruto-kun, I won't lie to you. When I was sealed, you became a Hanyo after being exposed to my Yuki. The influence my power has over you will only grow from here on. I doubt that you will become a fox or anything, but after you absorb enough of my power there will definitely be some drastic changes to your body so you can handle the Yuki. It will be years before this change occurs, but it will eventually happen, I think. The appearance you have now is what I believe you will look like minus the tail and ears. As she finished explaining this, Naruto looked shocked, even horrified. When he looked down into the dirty black, he could see a detailed reflection. He finally got his first good look at the extent of his transformation. His clothes remained the same except for his orange jacket and shinobi tools. Naruto's once blonde hair was longer and hung in between his shoulder blades. It was just as spiky as always, but now it was jet black all the way down to the tips of the spikes, which were crimson red in color, and seemed to almost glow in the dim light. Nestled in the massive mane of hair were two blood-red fox ears with black tips. He again noticed the blood-red tail with a black tip swaying behind him. When he studied his face, razor-sharp 1-inch canines met his eyes, and to his further horror, deep violet eyes with slits replaced his blue depths. Lastly, Naruto followed the path of his tattoos took. From his forehead, two strips flowed over his eyes and split to follow his whisker marks. The bands from his eyes continued down his neck to meet his shoulders, where they ended in a cone pattern split into 3 sections. His arm and legs began with 4 strips at the end of the digits and flow up his forearms and calves and meet a thick band around his biceps and thighs that merge into another 3-section cone shape. Hesitantly, Naruto pulled up his shirt and sees that all these marks are connected to the Shiku Fujin on his stomach. On each side of the seal are 2 more strips that curve to a point and end just above the abdomen. Finally, there are 3 thick strips that cover his chest that curve up to almost meet his neck and shoulder symbols. At the realization that he truly looked like a demon, all the calls of demon, monster, and abomination all came back, and now he knew they were true. For the first time in nearly 8 years, since the time he was first beaten by a mob of villagers, Naruto cried. He truly cried. He cried out everything he had suffered for nearly 10 years of his life. All of the loneliness, pain, and torture. He let everything out. For Kyuubi's part, she didn't know what to do. A Naruto that was yelling, arrogant, or confused she knew how to handle. In the 6 years since she had awakened, she had never seen the boy cry. She decided it was better to let him have his time. This was probably the only place he felt safe to cry. Ooh. At the realization that he truly looked like a demon, all the calls of demon, monster, and abomination all came back, and now he knew they were true. For the first time in nearly 8 years, since the time he was first beaten by a mob of villagers, Naruto cried. He truly cried. He cried out everything he had suffered for nearly 10 years of his life. All of the loneliness, pain, and torture. He let everything out. For Kyuubi's part, she didn't know what to do. A Naruto that was yelling, arrogant, or confused she knew how to handle. In the 6 years since she had awakened, she had never seen the boy cry. She decided it was better to let him have his time. This was probably the only place he felt safe to cry. After a while, Naruto finally calmed down and choked out the remark, "You probably think I'm weak now, don't you?" Kyuubi only shook her head with a sigh as she said, "No, if anyone has the right to cry it's you. I doubt any weak ninja could have lived your life and still have been sane. I actually feel honored that you feel comfortable enough around me to cry. Most creatures barely have the strength to look me in the eye when speaking with me." As Naruto dried his eyes, "Well, you have been nicer to me than most people. Demon or not, I guess that just made it okay," he said, wiping the remnants of his tears. Kyuubi looked on and decided to talk about something to calm Naruto. "Tell me, Naruto-kun, why do you want to be Hokage?" Naruto was quiet for a moment. "I want to be Hokage so everyone will respect me and recognize my existence. Now that I'm becoming a demon, that's impossible. So you're giving up. You realize to get respect from others, you need to get it through example and action. All the Hokage before you earned their respect through being a powerful shinobi that protected their village with their lives right. If you prove to the village that you are a powerful and honorable shinobi who would risk his life for his home, you can still become Hokage. So you're saying that instead of working to become Hokage, I should focus on becoming a powerful shinobi instead?" asked Naruto, looking confused. "If you can earn their respect before they discover your new demonic heritage, they will still trust you afterwards. To obtain the village's recognition, you must first earn their trust and respect as a shinobi, then become Hokage, not become Hokage to earn their respect." "You're right, Kyuubi. I've never let anything stop me before, and this is no different, and I bet I'll be stronger than ever now." As Naruto said this, the spark and foxy grin was back full force. "This won't stop me. I'll become the strongest shinobi in the world and earn the title of Hokage. It's a promise and I never break a promise, that's my Nindo. That is the Naruto I know and you will be stronger than before. Not only are you already physically stronger, all the enhanced senses you've developed over the years have been strengthened to be equal to mine. That means your senses of sight, smell, hearing, and even taste are many times more powerful than humans or even animal. This, unfortunately, means you will have to train very hard to gain control of them. Your body has also been reformed to be that of a demon. You will have greater healing powers than before, chakra regeneration, and stamina. You will even need less sleep. The senses sound cool, but I thought you said my healing was weaker now, and if my body works like a demon's, doesn't that mean I'm a full demon already and not a Hanyo like you said? I will work with you on your senses when we have time. No, the healing I do is weakened because I can't send any more Yuki into your system without hurting you. Your healing before was the bonus for just having me sealed within you. Every demon host or Jinchuriki gains some abilities from their demon. Your slightly enhanced senses and healing came from me and no, your body works like a demon's. You have demon abilities now, but you will still have human chakra for quite a long time. My stamina and chakra was already huge, so you mean I have even more? And what do you mean by needing less sleep? I explained before about your new system, correct? It is stronger because of the mix of our energies, also wider than normal coils, and will allow you better control over your chakra. Your old system was strained to the breaking point with your chakra capacity. Because of me, your reserves grew faster than your system did. This is why control was so hard for you. Most Junin don't have the amount of chakra you do, and they trained for years to get what they had and also prepared their circulatory system to handle it. See what I mean? With an excited nod, yeah, that means I should finally be able to do that stupid bunshin and become the strongest shinobi even quicker. You will still be able to train your human chakra for now, but whatever Yuki you've absorbed from me will be held back for safety until I've made sure about all the effects the transformation has had on your body. Also, I will not allow you to use any of my Yuki until I believe you're ready. How long will it take me to absorb your Yuki and become a demon? Also, you still didn't explain about my needing less sleep. That is many years from now. I doubt your hair will even begin to change color for months. As for the sleep, your new body will store nutrients and filter toxins better. This means your stamina is higher. You will get the same amount of rest in about 4 to 5 hours as you used to from 8 or 9. This also means you could go longer without food as well. On the other hand, this means you will have to be more careful to eat a balanced diet. What does that mean? In other words, no more ramen 24/7. You may still have all you want for lunch, but from now on you must eat foods such as meat, fruit, and vegetables for breakfast and dinner. No arguing on this. If it wasn't for me up to now, you would have been suffering from malnutrition as well as other diseases. I was able to keep you healthy, but your shortness was a result. What? You mean I'm a midget because of my beloved ramen? Ramen is the greatest food, it tastes delicious and has meat and some vegetables in it. It's healthy. Correction. You were a midget, the strengthening of your body took care of that, but if you don't begin eating better, not only will you stunt your growth again, you will become weak and never become Hokage. You will also never be able to use my power even after your body has settled. Okay, you win. I give my word to eat better from now on. What do you mean not be able to use it even when you allow it? It would be rather pointless to use my power when you would need a couple days of bed rest to recover from it. Your new system may be stronger than your old one and be able to control chakra better, but it has no experience with my Yuki. Even a small amount would damage it. Am I really that weak, Q? I thought that all my training would have gotten me farther than that, especially with all the work you've done. It's not that you're weak, Naruto-kun, it's just that you haven't had any real chakra control training yet and you've lost all the training you've done already. as well as the last 12 years adapting to my Yuki. When training to use chakra, you are training your mind and senses to remember and recognize the amount of chakra you're using. It has nothing to do with your muscles. Even though your body is stronger than before, your muscles have nothing to do with your chakra control. Now that your senses and body are different, you're back to square one in just about everything. Even your chakra circulatory system has softened again. You will have to train your chakra quite a lot to get your new system to where it can sustain my power. Once you rejoin the real world and your healing is done, you will need to relearn all the basics, was Kyuubi's playful remark with a sadistic grin on her face. You have got to be kidding. I have to learn 5 years of the academy over. And what do you mean about my system? You already know it, don't you? You just have to redo the training exercises. It should only take a couple of days really, considering how little you will have to sleep and all the improvements from the last time you had to do them. Also, as I said before, your old system was working with my Yuki for 12 years. This new system, while stronger, has had no contact with it. We will have to take it slowly. You will eventually be able to use my power again, but we will have to work with increasing the amount every day. Cool. That means I'm not that behind. Maybe I can even get Uruka-sensei to help me. How long until I can wake up? And, how long have I been unconscious talking to you? Uruka, you really should go home and get some rest, it's already been an entire day. You can come back in the morning, said the third from his seat. No, Hokage-sama, I want to stay by his side, said Uruka as he turned tired eyes to the Hokage, like you said, someone needs to be here when he wakes up. The Sandaime could only smile softly as he said, at least the strange change in his muscles ended earlier. How many times did it happen, Hokage-sama? The Sandaime slowly walked to the end of the bed and picked up the clipboard and began to read from it. The first one began on our way here at about 4:30 a.m. and began again every 2 hours and 7 minutes. He went through the process 9 times. The Sandaime was silent for a moment before saying, Uruka, I don't know what this means, but you have barely left his side in the last 20 hours. You need sleep and food. Please at least take a break for that. There is food in the cafeteria and a bed in the next room. I will make it in order if I need to. Uruka sighs, all right, Hokage-sama. I'll get something to eat and see about some sleep. Just as Uruka and the Hokage reached the door, they felt a pulse behind them, and as they turned, the red haze that had been surrounding Naruto obstructing their view of the boy pulsed a second time, slightly stronger. This continued several more times, strengthening with every pulse, until finally on the 10th one, the haze dispelled and returned to the seal. Both men slowly approached Naruto to check on the boy, wary of what might have occurred within the mist. When they finally were by his side, they both gasped at the transformation he had undergone. Sandaime-sama, is he alright? What are those black marks and why are they glowing? He seems to just be sleeping now, but these changes have me worried. I want you to stay here until further notice. No one is allowed into this room until he's awake and has spoken with me, not even the doctors. Hi, Hokage-sama. Thud. Who made my bed so high up or the room so bright? Asked Naruto as he braced himself to get up. He heard a slight scratching sound. When he looked for the source, he noticed he had 1-inch claws at the tips of his fingers, and with sick fascination, he slow drags them across the wood floor and notices that it gives no resistance whatsoever. Are you enjoying the new additions, Naruto-kun? I thought you said I wouldn't have the demonic features yet. I said you wouldn't have the hair color, tail, or ears. I said nothing about the claws, physique, or facial changes. If you don't like the claws, just relax the muscles in your hand. Check for yourself on the cosmetic changes. Naruto easily finds a full-body mirror hanging on a nearby wall. When looks into it, he notices his same clothes. The only noticeable changes are that they are a little too small now, dirty, and ripped, which was to be expected after a fight. He then sees that he has grown about 3 inches since he last checked and is sporting slightly broader whisker marks but not by much. Just enough to be noticed. He also finds that he now has slit blue eyes, longer hair with ebony black roots that end an inch or so away from his scalp and blood red tips on his trademark spikes. The only other change that was visible to him was that his face was more angular, almost as if he had lost all his baby fat and of course, his fun new claws. At this point, he decided to try relaxing his hand and to his amazement the claws started to recede. With the sound of slicing flesh and a little pain, they returned to his fingers and a normal nail closed on top of them. He quickly noticed that these normal-looking nails were bisected to show his claws were still there, just hidden. What do you think? I like it. You do great work, Kyubi-hime, but where are my tattoos? Asked Naruto as he scanned himself. Thank you, Naruto-kun, but from now on, just think and direct it to me. I'll hear you. We don't want people to think you're crazy or that you're talking to me. Remember what we talked about? Asked Kyubi, giving the mental equivalent to a finger flick, and the tattoos only show when I am sending my Yuki through them. Naruto nodded as he thought, yeah, we need to keep this a secret until I've gotten strong enough to protect myself. Just as Naruto was getting up from the floor, Iruka walked through the door to see Naruto awake. Naruto, are you all right? Shouted Iruka as he rushed to Naruto's side. I'm fine, sensei. How are you with the wounds from Mizuki Tem? I'm fine. I'm not the one that's been out for almost 2 days from a strange jutsu with red hazy chakra around me and freaky stuff with my muscles and strange marks all over me. Naruto blinked owlishly at his sensei's excitement. That's right. Could you get Ji-san for me? I have a lot to explain to you too and I need to ask you a favor, Naruto said with an even foxier grin in place. Now with his slightly elongated canines. Sure, Naruto. Just give me a second. Oh, sensei, could you bring me something to eat too? Sure, Naruto. With that said, Iruka rushed out the door to find the Hokage. Do you really think this is a good idea? Don't you think you should keep this between us for a bit longer? If Iruka-sensei hadn't mentioned the Yuki, then yes, I would have. But if they have already seen it, then it's easier to tell the truth than try to lie. Besides, I'm going to need help with my training, and who better than those two? You're so smart, Naruto-kun. It's going to be a long retelling, you know that. They will probably think you're crazy too. What choice do I have? Besides, I've got you to correct me, right? I also will be able to get Ji-san to help and that is worth anything. Just as Naruto finished his sentence, the Hokage and Iruka walked through the door holding 2 bowls of ramen each. Raamennn. Oh, great. Remember your promise to eat healthier. You said I could have ramen for lunch and it's 10 a.m. Good morning, Naruto-kun. You had us worried there, said the third as he sat down. Sorry about that, Ji-san, was said through a mouthful of noodles. Iruka says you have something to tell me. Asked the Sandaime as Naruto finished his 4th bowl. Both Iruka and the Sandaime thought, when did he finish his first one? Ah, that was good. Yes, I do, and you better sit down and get some sake because this one is going to throw you for a loop. After blinking a few times, both of the men took seats next to Naruto's bed. Where to start? Pondered Naruto. How about at the beginning, Naruto? Suggested Iruka with a brotherly smile. All right. Well, after I activated the Hitoshirezu Kensai no Jutsu, here we go. This is definitely going to take a while, Naruto-kun. 4 hours later and 3 bottles of sake the Hokage got out of nowhere. Any questions, you guys? Asked Naruto from his seat. The 2 men in front of him just looked at him with pads of paper, pens, highlighters and tape recorders in hand with, "Are you insane?" looks. As the Sandaime was rubbing his temples to relieve the oncoming headache, Naruto, let me get this straight one more time, the jutsu you used nearly killed you. The only thing that saved you was that the Kyubi was able to control the chakra, or Yuki, enough to reconstruct your body into that of a demon, as well as give you a new chakra system made out of both yours and Kyuubi's separate energies. Am I right so far, Naruto? Naruto nodded. This also gave you enhanced senses, claws and the new looks, as well as some other abilities that you're not sure of yet. You also said that you would have gained these powers eventually anyway from the seal's natural process, but the changes were just speed up by this incident. That's right, Ji-san. Q also said I needed to relearn all of the basics again because with my new body and chakra system, it's as if I never went through the training in the academy. That's actually the favor I wanted to ask you, Iruka-sensei. Really, I would be happy to train you again. It should be fun, said Iruka, thinking of all the things he could help Naruto improve on this time around. Before that though, I have a few more questions, Naruto. This story about the war, other worlds, Kami, is it true, and when was the last time you spoke to Kyuubi? I believe so. It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, with the summoning contracts and all. Both men couldn't help but nod their heads. The last time I spoke to her was just before I woke up. Q said that she would contact me when she finds out what the other changes and powers are. Alright, now, do you trust her, and if so, do you believe her story? Yes, completely. And I doubt that she would lie about the story or the yellow-eyed man, said Naruto, locking eyes with the Sandame. That can only be Orochimaru. I can't believe he was responsible for the attack. I never should have let him live. I need to keep this quiet for now. Alright, Naruto-kun, I want you to get some rest. The doctors said you could leave tomorrow and start your training with Iruka. It's not like I could get any rest at home anyway, and this food is better than what I can get normally. Iruka and the Hokage couldn't help but raise an eyebrow at that but remained silent. Also, I thought team assignments were tomorrow. After what Mizuki pulled, Hokage-sama pushed back the team assignments by 2 weeks so he could investigate. And what do you mean better food? Hospital food is horrible. Cool. That means I have 14 whole days to train with you, sensei. Naruto's mood took a darker turn when he went to continue. By the food, I mean that most markets won't serve me, and any restaurant other than our ramen stand kicks me out. You can't be serious, Naruto, said a shocked Sandame. Ignoring the Hokage's statement, Naruto asks, when do we start training, sensei? Of course, we start first thing in the morning when you are released. I will get a few things together. Bye, Naruto. Iruka, please wait for me outside. Naruto-kun, said the Sandame as Iruka left the room. Yes, Ji-san, asked Naruto as he was extending and retracting his claws. First, why didn't you tell me about your trouble with the markets? Naruto looked down before saying, it just didn't seem important whenever I got to see you. Whenever I could, I just wanted to have fun, but I've done alright, so don't worry about it. The Sandame just sighed, knowing he wouldn't get any further even if he tried. I took the liberty of checking on the jutsu you copied from the Forbidden Scroll and removed the ones I didn't approve of and replaced them with more appropriate ones, said the third as he tossed Naruto his scroll back. See you later, Naruto. How the hell did he do that? How did he even know I copied jutsu? I didn't even know he had come near me to take it. He did it while you were eating your ramen. This is why we are starting to train your senses as of now. I will first release your sight. Get ready, this is going to hurt for a while. Numerous curses and many thumping sounds were heard from Naruto's room for the rest of the day and well into the night. Outside the hospital room, Iruka, I have an A- rank mission for you, said the Sandame in a serious tone of voice. What is it, Hokage-sama? Asked a truly curious Iruka. Several hours later, just outside the third's office. Piss off, you brat. I doubt the Hokage would take the time to spit on you, said the secretary in a shrew-like voice. Iruka, while under a henge, had to bite his tongue to keep himself back from slapping the woman, which would ruin the whole mission, and he could already feel the bloodlust of the Hokage from behind the door. As the door swung open, the wizened leader appeared with a deceptive smile on his aged face as he said, Naruto-kun, I'm so glad to see you. I've been expecting you for a while now. As Aruka under the henge entered the office, the Sandame turned to the secretary. You're fired. I want your desk cleaned out and you gone by closing. As the secretary sputtered, he turned and entered his office behind Aruka. Aruka, how was it? It wasn't as bad as we feared, was it? Asked the Sandame as soon as he reached his desk with worry obvious in his aged voice. No. Hearing this, the aged leader noticeably relaxed. I knew my people weren't that horrible. Naruto has always had a knack for exaggeration, was his thought as he lit his pipe. It was much worse than what Naruto said, was Aruka's flat reply with all seriousness. As the third choked on the smoke from inhaling too fast, he asked, what exactly did they do that was so awful? Where do I start? Everywhere I went, I was glared at and called names, people even threw things at me. Every restaurant, and I mean every restaurant except Ichiraku Ramen kicked me out and some even threw garbage at me. Some of the stores even threatened to summon Anbu if I didn't leave. 2 even showed up at 1. The few stores that would serve me double or even triple charged me for the worst product, and most of the shinobi stores only sold me equipment from the bins of damaged items to be fixed and still charged me full price. Look and see. As Aruka pulled out several kunai and shuriken, the Sandame noticed that they were obviously rusted, off balance, or bent. The weapons weren't even fixable, they would have to be melted down and reforged to be used for anything. They charged you full price for these. At Aruka's nod, the elderly man lost half his wrinkles as his face tightened with anger. When I tried to enter the shinobi library was when the Anbu showed up. As soon as I entered, some pink-haired banshee screeched for them. I believe she was Haruno's wife. Pink hair is rare, after all. The Hokage only responded by saying, I believe we need to make a quick trip, Aruka. Outside Naruto's apartment, he doesn't even lock his door. Asked Aruka. As the two entered, they were disgusted. It wasn't that it was dirty, it was just the room itself. The walls were peeling and stained. The roof and walls had holes in them. The windows were broken. All the furniture was obviously scavenged. The only food in the whole apartment was instant ramen, the really cheap kind that tastes like re-warmed piss. Inside the small refrigerator, that was clearly a pre-installed item, was a single carton of milk that expired a month ago. The Hokage was literally trembling with fury now, as he slowly counted back from 1,000, something he hadn't had to do since his lectures with Jiraiya all those years ago about the boy's lecherous antics. If he was going to do it, then do not get caught, and especially don't run to him if he did. I had no idea he was treated this poorly, he muttered around his pipe, though I suppose that's no excuse. Aruka nodded, noting that the boy's bedroom was as sparse as the rest of the house, lacking the things that defined a teenage boy. Trophies, littered clothing, not even hidden porn. With the jutsu Naruto had made, he at least expected that. Aruka, I want you to take this letter and gather all the clan heads. It's time for a meeting. Hi, Sandame-sama, he must be really serious. The clan heads haven't been gathered since the Uchiha massacre. Hyuga Hiyashi was a man of many virtues, but patience was not one of them. As head of the prestigious Hyuga clan, he didn't particularly like being summoned from his bed to attend, of all things, an unarranged council meeting. This isn't like Sarutobi, he thought as his pale eyes narrowed, unless we're going to war again. As he entered the council chamber flanked by his bodyguards personally selected from the branch family, he noted that everyone was present, even the Aburame clan's Shibi, whose silent presence added an air of seriousness. Sume, head of the Inuzuka clan, was also present with her dog. The 3 members of the Ino Shika Cho were also present, Inoichi sitting quietly, Choza eating a rice ball, whilst Shikato was looking around, seemingly bored. The elders, council was also present in their normal bickering state. When the Sandame appeared, Hiyashi was about to speak up when he noticed the look in the old man's eyes, a look that he'd only seen once before, and wished never to see again. The look the Sandame carried when a young Junin went against his orders and led over 100 shinobi to their deaths. It has come to my attention that there have been a number of injustices being committed upon a certain citizen in this village, someone who I'm sure you're all aware of. The clan heads looked amongst each other utterly confused until Inuzuka Sume, in her ever-eloquent way, spoke up. "Who the hell are you talking about?" she asked, which basically summed up everybody's thoughts. Sarutobi glared at the woman and her canine companion until said animal began to whine. "I am referring to one Uzumaki Naruto." The elders began to speak out when they were silenced by a glare filled with more than a little killing intent. Everyone in the room snapped to attention as the Sandame's robes whipped around him as he released chakra. Nara Shikoto actually sat up straight, eyes wide with a ridged posture, saying, "Oh, he's pissed." In the world of shinobi, there are several facts that anyone learns quickly. One is that one doesn't become a kage without being the strongest, most powerful ninja in the village, and secondly, that being in the same room as an angered kage meant one of few things: someone was either going to be demoted, killed, spending the next few years either performing D-ranked missions or recovering from the most severe beating of their life in intensive care. From the look on the Sandame's face, it looked like all of the above was about to be added to the ever-growing list. This boy is only a teenager, and yet he has suffered such mistreatment that it's a wonder he's not unbalanced. Just look at this. As he said this, he turned on a video recording of the treatment Iruka hanged as Naruto received. At the looks of confusion, he continued. Sarutobi scowled. Iruka took it himself while spending some time hanged as Naruto. He turned to look at them all. Yumuino Iruka, former hunter nin, now retired as a Chunin instructor, spent a day disguised as Naruto, and the level of abuse he suffered varied from outright cruelty to potential murder. And this is without knowing his changes, Sandame thought to himself. Hiashi frowned. So, the boy has the fox spirit sealed in him. He is nothing but trouble and a nuisance to the village. Wouldn't it be better if someone just killed him? There was a general amount of agreement from the clan heads, except unsurprisingly Aburame Shibi, who merely remained silent. The Sandame scowled at the Hyuga head. "Vessel or not, I swore to the Yondaime that the boy would not be harmed by this village." His last wish was for the boy to be seen as a hero. Hiashi frowned. "Pardon me, Hokage-sama, but I fail to see why the Yondaime would put so much emphasis on this boy's safety. I'll admit the man was a saint, but even he wouldn't harbor a demon." Again, there was a round of agreement, and Hiashi felt as if he'd sufficiently ended the argument, especially when the Hokage sighed deeply and pulled out his pipe. "Perhaps you're right, what was I thinking?" Hiashi smirked. "A simple lapse of judgment, Hokage-sama. After all, why on earth would a man go to such lengths to protect his own child?" Konoha Hospital. As Naruto was buried under the sheet of his bed with the pillow pulled tightly over his head, people could hear light from him. "Q, how many more senses do you need to turn on? I'm about to go insane." "That's the last of them, Naruto-kun. Sight, smell, taste and hearing have all been started. It even appears you have gained a slightly stronger sense of touch, but it shouldn't be much of a problem." "How long until it stops hurting?" asked Naruto in a rather pathetic voice. "It will stop hurting when your mind can deal with the strength of your new senses. Until then, your pain isn't from your sensory organs as it feels. It is from your mind saying that something isn't right and needs help. Well, can you tell it that there's nothing wrong? I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but the only way to deal with this is to take the time and allow your mind to adapt and come to terms with what is happening. But if it hurts so much, then you could always enter your mindscape again and train here." "How would that help Q? Inside your mind you can't feel pain unless you want to. While your physical body adapts to your senses, you can train them inside your mind. It won't stop the pain later, but at least it will lessen it when you wake up." "Sounds better than nothing Q. What do I need to start?" "Just calm down, close your eyes and relax. Let your mind wander and I will guide you." The room fell silent, as if struck dumb. Even Shibi's eyes widened behind his ever-present glasses. Choza had even stopped eating. Shikoto looked startled and Inoichi's eyes were as wide as saucers. Sume's jaw actually hung loose, while the Hyuga head seemed at a loss for words. This changes everything. So you're saying, Shibi began and the Sandame nodded. The boy's birth name is Namikaze Naruto, son of Namikaze Minato, Konoha's Yellow Flash, and Uzumaki Kira, Konoha's Tenchi. He is the son of two of our greatest heroes. The room had fallen deathly silent now. Thoughts of disbelief, shock, disgust and shame flooded the room. No one dared look up until Shikoto spoke up. But, hold up, Yondaime never married. How could the Yondaime have a son? And the angel disappeared a whole year before the Kyuubi came. Many in the room spoke up in agreement. If it was out of agreement for the idea or just trying to deny their own sins, no one knew. He did marry. He just never publicly announced it, Sarutobi replied, lighting his pipe. I personally married them. I even delivered the boy when the time came. Not even Jiraiya, the fourth sensei, knows about the union. Kira, after finding out she was pregnant, decided to retire to the county until Naruto was to be born to ensure his safety. When the Kyuubi came, she had only been back in the village for a week. He took a drag of his pipe. Only two other people know of the boy's heritage. One of them is Orochimaru, who happened to find out by chance. Everyone flinched at this, the name of the snake Sanin still being a sore point to many Junin. And, who is the second person, Hokage-sama? Asked Shikoto. Sarutobi sighed, the Anbu who I assigned to guard him when he was younger, Uchiha Itachi. Everyone's eyes widened. 2S class missing nin with knowledge of the Yondaime's son, this was bad. Also, as you have all already been informed, as a result of a jutsu he recently used to stop a traitor from stealing the scroll of seals, he has speed up the natural process of the fourth seal. As a result of this, he has gained several special abilities from the Kyuubi, and soon he will gain control over the Kyuubi's chakra entirely. Everyone flinched as the math added up. The son of Yondaime and Konoha's angel, coupled with the infinite chakra of the Kyuubi as well as any abilities he may have gained from it. This combined with the treatment he's received. Sarutobi exhaled, so as you can see, we have a genin with the potential to become the next Hokage who, according to Iruka, has more than enough reason to justifiably hate everyone in this village. The elders flinched at this, realizing what this meant. It would be the Uchiha massacre all over again, on a larger scale. As of today, I am making it clear that if anyone so much as threatens the boy and I hear of it, I'll trace it back to their clan head and execution will be a very likely possibility. He looked around. I trust the actions I have explained today will not occur again. The clan heads nodded, before being allowed to leave, their world sufficiently shaken. Hiashi, in particular, was trying to see the potential benefits in this turn of events. Limitless power and the blood of the Yondaime combined with unknown abilities, he frowned. This boy would make a brilliant ally to the clan. I think a little family meeting is in order. But first I need access to the boy. Hiashi stood. Sandame-sama. Yes, what is it, Hiashi? Asked the Hokage with a raised eyebrow. Since we all are already gathered, may I make a suggestion for the boy's punishment for his indiscretion against my clan? You do realize he is still recovering from his ordeal and cannot give his explanation of his entry or to defend himself, don't you? He is also going to be busy with training. I do, Hokage-sama, but with the punishment I have in mind, he may give his reasons it to me during it. We already know why he did what he did, so punishment is coming with or without his defense, and the punishment I purpose will leave plenty of time for his training. What are you scheming, Hiashi? What do you purpose, Hyuga-san? Asked the Sandame while glaring at Hiashi. As Hiashi began to speak, all the others returned to their spots to listen. Perfect. If this works like I hope it will, I will end up with the greatest weapon imaginable to attain my goals. A demon under my influence. Naruto's mindscape. Slowly Naruto's senses began to come back to him. He could hear the sloshing of the dirty water he was laying in from his tail moving with his perked ears, feel the humid air on his skin, and to his ultimate displeasure, he could once again smell the sewers that embodied his mind. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was pleased to see the familiar sewers even if he loathed the smell. It was still the same dank and dirty place he remembered from before, but now it seemed brighter. The walls were no longer cracked, and the intricate designs that ran along them that symbolized his tattoos were quite impressive. The water seemed clearer, and the light shining from above his head felt warm to him. As he looked up again, he noticed the purple pipes that represented his chakra circulatory system almost shined. The red ones were almost the complete opposite though. Before when he was here, they pulsed with such power it made his seem bland in comparison. Now the red ones seemed dulled and lifeless. For some reason, Naruto found this very disturbing. He soon found himself following the same route he had taken before, and soon enough, he was standing before Kyuubi's cage once again. Just like the rest of the sewer, this room had brightened as well. As Naruto scanned the room, he noticed that the marking that supposedly represented his tattoos literally covered the walls here, whereas in the rest of the sewer, the marking merely looked as if someone had taken a brush and a few hours to design them. Here they were as masterpiece, intricate curves and slopes that intersected in every way imaginable that all led back to Kyuubi's cage. I see you finally made it, Naruto-kun. We will have to work on your sense of time while here. When Kyuubi emerged from the shadows of her cage, Naruto had to raise an eyebrow at her appearance. Before, she had shined with the power of her aura, and even when it was not visible her fur shined like precious silk. Now she seemed disheveled, and her aura was nothing but fatigue. "Q, are you all right? You look exhausted," asked Naruto in a worried tone. Q looked surprised for a moment, and even Naruto caught it. "I never planned on letting him see me like this." "I'm fine, Naruto-kun. I'm just still a little drained from everything." Naruto looked up into her red eyes with a rare calculating look as if he was trying to read her. "I guess that makes sense with everything that's been going on and everything you've done for me." Kyuubi had to catch herself from giving a light giggle at Naruto's thinking face. "I suppose so. Now let's begin the training for your senses. I plan on having your mind adapt far enough for you to train in the real world later. If you're sure you are alright. I mean, I am taking your power from you, so you have every right to be tired." Naruto looked down, almost ashamed, until Q said, "Taking my power? Whatever gave you that idea?" Naruto snapped his head up as his tail and ears went ridged. "Huh? But you said I was absorbing your power, Q. Doesn't that mean that I'm taking it away from you?" Kyuubi just had to give a tired giggle at this. "I guess I didn't explain it well enough to you. Let me explain it this way. When you use chakra, you make more, don't you?" With a slow nod from Naruto, she continues, "What makes you think I would be any different?" Naruto looked stupefied for a moment before he continued, "Well, you said I was absorbing your power and becoming a demon because of it, and I just figured that it meant you wouldn't have it anymore. When the seal was first made, it was designed to expose you to a portion of my power every day to make you stronger and ensure that not only could you protect yourself, but keep me imprisoned. I surmise that the Yondaime intended for us to become equals in time. What is happening is that your body takes so much of my power in a day's time and adds it to your own. By doing this, over time you will be able to take more and more until you can use it all. That way I would never be able to overpower you." What the Yondaime didn't realize is how dangerous Yuki is to humans. If things had continued as they were, your body would have eventually reached a limit and my Yuki would have begun to hurt you. Once again, Naruto was sitting there perfectly still as he replayed what he had heard. "So I'm not taking your power, I'm just using it make my own instead of just using yours like the seal originally intended." This time, it was Q that had to blink. "Ah, yes, that's right, but how did you figure that out?" Naruto scratched the back of his neck in his usual way. "Well, When you explained all of this to me before, you said that your power was mixing with mine to slowly get my body to make Yuki on its own, but you just said that the seal was meant to allow me to use your power, not make it my own. It just kind of clicked, is all. Instead of my body just growing stronger so I can use your power, you changed it so that your power is helping me make my own. Okay, file this one under the many things that this boy has done to surprise me. Yes, I couldn't have explained it better myself. But don't forget that even though you are slowly growing stronger, that doesn't mean you still can't use my power when you need to, Naruto-kun. Just to make sure, you are alright and I'm not taking too much away from you. Not to be mean, but you do look rather frizzled. I mean, your scary red glow is gone and the red pipes in the ceiling are dull. I'm just worried. Q took a moment. Well, I'm flattered that you're worried about me, Naruto-kun, but it's nothing to be worried about. If I explain about my power in percentages, then every tail stands for just about 11% out of 100. Our whole episode with your body took 44%, then you took your prevent for the day, which is about 7, then the tattoos I placed took 33, and finally another 10 was used to heal the majority of the other injuries. So I'm rather tired. When Kyuubi looked down, she had to sweat drop as she watched Naruto using his fingers to count 60, 77, and 94%. You only have half of a tail left. Are you sure that's okay? Shouldn't that be chakra exhaustion or something? Is that why the pipes are so dull? I'm fine, Naruto-kun, just tired. 6% is plenty, and I should be back to normal in a few days. Remember, I'm the demon known for having infinite strength, and normally I do. Other than fighting another Biju, I have never used more than 3 tails at once, and when I used them up, I would draw on another 3. Because of this, by the time I needed to switch again, the first set was nearly restored. That is why I'm fine. I just used too much power at once. Well, if you're sure, then what do we need to do for training? First, we will focus on training your mind before we start on your senses, and we will do this through meditation. Naruto dropped his head in defeat. Good, Naruto-kun. You could have more focus, but we can work on that more later on. For now, focus and make the mindscape into a forest area that you have seen before so we may begin your real training. Naruto had spent the last few hours in meditation to learn how to reshape his mindscape, and it was no easy matter. Even inside his own mind, Naruto's focus for such things was minimal at best. Okay, so focus and imagine a forest. After a few moments, the sewer began to slowly fade to a pale background before a rather dark forest began to appear. The trees were monstrous even compared to the ones in Konoha's forest. As Kyuubi watched the changes around her, she wasn't surprised that the inside of her cage remained the same. I guess it will take more time before he can affect the cage. The forest sent a shiver even up Kyuubi's spine as she gazed at it from behind the bars. Kyuubi couldn't help but notice that even she could hide in this giant forest, but it seemed far too familiar. Naruto-kun, I told you to picture a forest you have been in. Where did you find one like this? Naruto looked confused for a moment as he looked back at the bars. He walked around the other side, expecting to see a back or a wall, but it was like it wasn't even there except for a shimmer in the air. As he walked back around the other side, he said, "A few years ago, I found a giant forest surrounded by a fence. It seemed different, so I wandered around the edge of it for a long time trying to find a way in, but it was closed off and I was never able to climb over the fence. I just always wanted to see what was inside since the trees were so big, so I thought of it." Kyuubi just nodded her head as she looked on. This forest should work fine. To start, I will release the full power of your senses. Inside your mind it won't hurt, but there will be a pressure or weight put on you. There will also be disorientation and most likely extreme confusion. Well, it's better than the piercing pain I was in before when we tried to get this under control. We will start with your eyesight. I am not able to leave my cage, but I can create things for you to train with if you give me permission. Naruto didn't even hesitate to nod. First, to train your sight, I will create opponents to move around you in varying speeds and you will only need to follow them with your eyes. Then, for your sense of sound, we will cut off your other senses and do the same and have you follow an opponent's heartbeat and breathing to keep track of them. After that, for your sense of smell, I will use my memories to teach you the more common ones you will encounter, such as tracking scents, the smell left from different elements being used, the scents given off for different emotions, and of course the ability to tell the difference between animal, human, and other scents. Taste we will work on over time. Naruto slowly nodded as he stood and brushed himself off. Okay, let's get this started. I can't wait to master these senses and not have a headache when I wake up. Sorry Naruto-kun, but that's not happening. Training the mind and training the body are two different things. Even if you master your senses here, it will only lessen the pain when you wake up. Your body and mind will still need to align to each other. This training is only to give you the knowledge, not the experience. Naruto let out a deep sigh. Power never comes easy, does it? No, it doesn't, Naruto-kun. Not for anyone. There is always a cost for power, whether you know it or not. The next day, as Naruto was waking up to what Kyuubi relates to having a hangover, he was experiencing some of the most painful jolts of his life. He could have sworn someone was messing with him in his sleep. Q. It feels like you have been chewing on me for fun. My head hurts, my ears are ringing, and I feel like I'm going to puke. Just try to relax Naruto-kun, and I don't appreciate the joke. I do not chew on everything like a common dog. Now close the blinds and sit on the bed and focus. I will try to lessen the pain and get you used to this. The training with your senses yesterday pushed you a little too hard. We will now work on focusing your senses on one thing to allow you to select what you want to do with them. Thank you Q. Naruto said aloud as he tried to relax. Iruka was currently making his way to the hospital to pick up his favorite student. He was thinking over what to do with his new pupil at the moment and having a hard time deciding what to do first. I guess first I need to get him used to his new body. Light sparing should do that, then I can have him go through the kata for the academy taijutsu. With his growth, he should be able to make more use of it now. I should figure out a training schedule for him too. Since he only sleeps 4 hours a night, he'll need something to keep him busy and out of trouble. I can just imagine what you could get done with an extra 4 hours a day. Iruka never got to finish his thought, because just as he was passing the shopping district, a messenger hawk swooped down to him to land on his arm. Now what do we have here? Iruka says, taking the message from its leg. Thank you for bringing me this. Off you go, said Iruka as he released the hawk. As Iruka broke the seal, he began to read the message. Iruka, I would like you to bring Naruto by my office after lunch. I have a few things to give him and I need him out of his apartment for the day so it can be fixed up. I will see you later. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage. I wonder what the Sandaime is up to. Oh well, better get going. Naruto has never been the most patient shinobi in the village, thought Iruka with a smile, remembering all the years in the academy with the blonde. If you see this in between a break, that means there is a there. It will be numbered so you can find it listed with my other fix under the name, A Midnight Dream. The S will really have nothing to do with the main storyline other than being a way to express the strength of the relationship between characters. It's up to you if you want to read them or not. I'm saving up to buy Naruto $1, $1.05, $1.07, hey, a quarter. This will take a while. To anyone looking into Naruto's private room, it would seem as if the boy was in a trance as he sat on his bed. This alone was strange enough on its own, but his sensory organs were slightly glowing red. This was a very comical look indeed, almost clownish. In reality, he was trying to recover from the recent training of his senses. Currently he was conversing with Kyuubi on his thoughts of the training and if he could handle any more of the like. You're doing good, Naruto-kun. You've already become accustomed to your new senses enough for them not to cause you pain anymore. I actually expected you to need a couple of days to be able to handle the rush of information from them, but it seems that the training we did inside of your mind really gave results. Now that the pain has subsided, we can focus on the many uses of enhanced senses as well as the vulnerabilities that they cause. What do you mean? I thought you said that you would only do one sense at a time to ease me into them. The training in my mind did make it hurt less, but it still hurt. That was my original plan, but when I saw how much trouble you were having with one, I decided to get all the pain out of the way at once. Would you have preferred to have gone through your senses one at a time and prolonged the pain? Naruto just allowed a deep scowl to cross his face as he continued to relax. I told you that these senses would take time and training to utilize. Nothing comes for free, especially power. It has to be earned. Not only do you need to learn how to use these senses, you need to get used to all the extra information you're given. Now at least you can learn how to understand the information you're being given. Before, you were just whimpering and grabbing at yourself. Quote, I was whimpering because I thought I was going insane. I could hear everything, the smells were sickening, I felt absolutely filthy, I was blinded by the littlest light and I even felt like I was upside down every time I turned my head. And the taste of the ramen that I had for lunch was disgusting. Exactly how long will it take me to master these senses? Do I'll be able to eat my ramen again? Pleaded Naruto. Human senses are so dull, it's like you aren't aware of anything around you. Your mind is literally being stressed to its limits to get these under control and you have barely finished scratching the surface of your senses. All you've done is stop the pain. You barely know anything about your senses yet or what they're telling you. As soon as you get a little more used to them, you can adapt to the changes. You seem to be good at that. You mean there's more pain? Asked Naruto fearfully. No, Naruto, you are past the pain, but you have scarcely begun to become accustomed to these senses. Before, you couldn't take the intensity of the information, but now that you can process it, you need to learn to understand it and make use of it. This means identifying and categorizing them. How long will that take? Years if you learn quickly. This world is full of smells, sounds, and sights. I will be here through it all to help, but don't think you will be done anytime soon. When I first arrived here, it took me almost 6 years to grow accustomed to everything my senses told me. That is a long time, I wonder if I'll be able to do it. Asked Naruto solemnly. Don't worry, Naruto-kun. When I learned, I had to do it on my own. For you, if you don't understand a sound or smell, just ask and I'll let you know. With you and me together working on this, we'll have this beat in no time, said Kyuubi in an almost perky voice. That's cool, I was worried there for a while. Q, what do you think the villagers will do? Villagers, Naruto-kun, asked Kyuubi. My new look. I can't exactly hide my eyes or face. Will they hate me even more now? Q sighs, I don't know, Naruto-kun. People can be very cruel at times, and when they fear something, it gets even worse. I wonder if there's a way to hide my changes. Maybe Ji-san will know a genjutsu he can teach me to hide them. But someone could just cancel it, and plus shinobi aren't allowed to use jutsu on villagers and, I really at genjutsu. Quote. If you're that worried about it, there's something you could do. It will also give you a good training exercise, said Kyuubi with a devious smirk. What is it? What is it? Asked Naruto frantically. Remember in the academy how they taught you the 3 methods for escaping genjutsu? Yes, Naruto asked, a little confused by the change of subject. What are they and how do they work? What does this have to do with anything? Wait, never mind, you always have a reason for these things. The first method is using the Kai release, which is expelling large amounts of chakra to interfere with the genjutsu. The second is to drop your chakra output down to absolute zero so that the genjutsu has nothing to affect your brain with, and the last method is to have someone else force chakra into your system to disrupt your flow as well as the genjutsu. I also heard you could use pain on some, but that only works on low-level ones. Correct again. I knew with enough prodding I could get that brain of yours working, exclaimed Kyubi with a smirk. With a slight growl, so Kyubi Heim, are you going to grace me with the reason for my academy flashback? Snippy, aren't we? Well, I'll let you figure this out on your own then. If all your enhanced senses and change in features are produced by chakra, how can you hide them? Now what does that mean? Asked Naruto before he continued with his own thoughts. She said that all my senses naturally draw on my chakra to strengthen them. My senses are naturally as powerful as an animal's and my chakra just takes them to another level. So, is she saying that if I suppress my chakra, my appearance will return to how it was before? Does that mean I'll be a chibi again? I guess all I can do is try and see for myself. I knew he wasn't the baka he makes himself out to be. If I can keep pushing him in his training to figure things out on his own, he could really advance quickly. He always seems to stand up to a challenge. I wonder what kind of training I should have him do next. This suppression exercise I have him doing is good, but it won't take him long to master this. For humans, I hardly know anything for fighting styles. I guess I could have him start on Foxfire, or maybe the Dujutsu he's developed, but I think I want him to get used to his body and get some more chakra control first. I'll wait and see what that dolphin has him do today before I decide. While Q was going through her plans for our hero's training, Naruto had already begun his suppression exercise. Alright, all I have to do is focus. As Naruto began suppressing his chakra, he took up a position in front of a mirror to see the effects. To his surprise, nothing happened at all. Q, why didn't it work? Asked Naruto in all honesty. You need to reduce the flow much more than that. Remember, you aren't trying to disable a genjutsu, you're fighting against your own body. It will take a little time to learn this, and even longer to hold it. This will be worth it though. You will be able to use lower and higher level techniques easier when done. This will also help with your precise control. As Naruto attempted the suppression once again, Iruka had just entered the hospital from the front. Better Naruto-kun, but still not quite there. If you will let me, I will control your chakra for you and put it at the right level so you can feel where it should be and try again. You can do that. I thought you said that the Shiku Fujin wouldn't let you. That was true before our connection strengthened. I still can't act of my own free will when it concerns your body, but if you allow me to, I could even control your body for you. What? You can really do that? Naruto couldn't help but stop for a moment as the implications flew through his head. Go ahead, I guess. Okay, let me show you where it needs to be. As Q began to suppress Naruto's chakra, he took to closing his eyes to better feel the chakra flow. Just as it begins to reach the proper levels, the door opens and Iruka walks in to see Naruto sitting on the bed in what looks like a trance. All Iruka can think is, strange, Naruto, are you okay? We need to head out and begin your training. When Iruka speaks, Naruto literally jumps to the ceiling screaming, what the hell? Iruka looks up at his student to notice a rather interesting sight. Other than Naruto hanging from the ceiling like a cat in a cartoon would do. Before his very eyes, Naruto's thickened whisker marks returned to normal, followed by the rounding of his pupils from the slits they were at his entry. The highlights in his hair also slightly receded. Other than that, everything else remains the same. Naruto, what happened to you just now? You're almost back to normal. Asked Iruka, with confusion evident in his voice. Cool. Did it work? Asked Naruto as he dropped from the ceiling and ran over to a nearby mirror. Iruka once again asked, did what work? Q was teaching me a chakra exercise to help me control small amounts of chakra, but it's also a way for me to look more normal, but for some strange reason, I feel sort of numb and weaker now. That's because we just shut off the flow of chakra to your senses, healing, and muscles. Normally, it takes shinobi years to learn what you do naturally. Your senses, while still stronger than any normal humans, are barely comparable to what you have at your normal level. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if I should train in both these forms. If I become stronger in this weak body, I should really be great when I'm at my norm. Naruto spoke aloud. Naruto, what are you talking about? Asked Iruka with a deadpanned look. Oh, sorry sensei, I was talking to Q just now. She said I feel weak because with my chakra suppressed to look more normal, I cut off my body from using it. Naruto, this is not to be used while you are training. This is only to give you a normal appearance while in the village and help with your exact control. If you learned any jutsu while you are like this, they would be useless when you release your chakra. Why is that, Q? Because the flow would be too different to compensate for. You would never perform the jutsu correctly if learned while your chakra was suppressed. Even if you were able to perform the jutsu, it would be the same problem you had before the change all over again. Only this time, instead of having smaller coils than needed, your chakra would be moving too fast, and you would still have trouble with the amount of chakra used. You're functioning at bare minimal right now and wouldn't even be able to create a kage bunshin, much less any other jutsu I can think of. Maybe a bunshin if you were lucky. Guess that blows that out of the water, said Naruto as he took up his thinking pose. Blows what out of the water? Asked Iruka, with a vein throbbing on his forehead. Sorry again sensei, but Q just said I couldn't do that. Train with my power cut I mean. Naruto-kun, this middleman thing is getting annoying. I'm going to go to sleep until you're done training with the dolphin. Can you feel the level to suppress your chakra to now? Yes. Good. Keep it up while in the village or in public. When you're done, just let me know so we may continue our own training. With a yawn Q curls up in her cage. Okay Iruka-sensei, it's just you and me now. Q is going to take a nap until we're done. I suppose that's good, I was getting confused. So what's first, sensei? Well, we are supposed to meet with the Hokage around lunchtime. Right now, it's 7:30, so how about we head out to the training grounds to spar until it's time? I'm pretty sure you're stiff and need to get out, commented Iruka with a smirk. As Naruto began running to the door, Iruka called out, "Don't you want to get dressed first?" When Naruto looked down and sees the hospital gown they gave him so they could wash his clothes, all he could do was blush and head for the closet. While Naruto was getting dressed, he noticed his shirt was a little tighter than usual, but not to the point to be uncomfortable, and his pants only went to his lower calf. Luckily for him, he had some bandages in his pouch and just wrapped his legs and feet before putting on his sandals. Note to self: get more bandages and new clothes. Alright sensei, let's go. A few hours later, we find a slightly winded Naruto and a fresh-looking Iruka heading in the direction of the Hokage Tower. How are you not tired, sensei? We've been sparring for hours. Asked Naruto with an exasperated pant. I'm fresh because you did all the work Naruto. Commented Iruka in a sing-song voice. I barely moved from the spot I was standing in to begin with. While you were running around and trying to act fancy, I simply used basic counters and allowed you to attack, came Iruka's reply. So I wore myself out while you conserved your energy? Asked Naruto. Correct. Your high stamina gives you an incredible advantage when used correctly, but in a taijutsu fight stamina can be used up quickly, especially with how you fight. So I need to learn to use my stamina better. Yes, we will work on that too, but you did really good Naruto. I honestly expected you to trip over your own feet considering the new body and all. What would you expect from the future Hokage? If I couldn't at least control my own body, it really would only be a dream to be Hokage. By the way sensei, how do you think I did? After thinking for a moment, your speed has increased greatly. You're probably as fast as Kiba now. Your moves are still too choppy. You need to go through the kata for the taijutsu again, or better yet, find another style. I still think that the academy style just isn't right for you. I would also advise that you calm down a bit. You wasted all your energy blindly attacking me instead of trying to find an opening, and for you to run out of energy really means that you need to calm down. You fought out there just like you did against me in your exam. Okay, so after we talk with Gigi, what are we going to do? Naruto. Show more respect for Hokage-sama. And to answer your question, we will head back to the training field and I will give you a quick lecture on the basics of the shinobi world. Then we will do the basic chakra control exercises again of leaf balancing and molding chakra into the 12 hand seals. Do we really need the lecture, sensei? Asked Naruto with a fearful grin. Don't whine, Naruto. I may be a demon of legend known throughout the world, but I know little of shinobi ways. All your jutsu and fighting styles will have to come from your peers. I can teach you about your body and abilities, as well as the world, but you need to learn whatever you can from others. All the jutsu and yuki in the world will not make you Hokage if you don't have the knowledge, experience, and skill to use them. This, Naruto-kun, is the secret of true strength. If the dolphin believes this is important, thank him for sharing it and don't whine about it. Naruto couldn't help but have a serious look as he thought over Q's words. Sorry, sensei, if you think it's important, then I'll listen and thank you for helping me, said Naruto with a snicker at the end. What's with the change of mind, and the snicker? Q said that I need to respect your views and take whatever training you can offer me, and I'm laughing because she always seems to calls you a dolphin. As Iruka turned slightly red, well, please tell her that I don't appreciate someone without thumbs calling others names. Oh, real original, monkey. The thumbs thing again. When will I hear the end of this one? As Q continues her rant about the unfairness of evolution and creation, Naruto says to Iruka. Damn, sensei, I think you hit a sore spot with that one. And with that they entered the tower. Sitting in front of the Hokage. It's good to see you, Naruto, said the Sandaime with a grandfatherly smile. Haiji-san, what did you want to talk about? Asked Naruto as he shifted in his seat. First, I need to tell you that in a recent meeting, I informed the council and top shinobi about your changes as well as classifying them top secret. Also, the third did not get to finish as the young boy raged in front of him. You did what? How could you do that? Me and Kyuubi just went through all this trouble for me to look normal and you go and do that, shouted Naruto. With a hand gesture for him to be quiet, the Sandaime said, Naruto, I understand your feelings on this, but in matters like this I had to inform them. There was no choice, I gave them no specifics other than your change in appearance and the abilities I know about. They know nothing of the war or anything else you told me. Just to be safe though, it is on file with my signature if it is ever needed in the future as proof of your story. With this, the third holds up a file and places it into his drawer before locking it. You do not have to disclose any more if you do not wish to. In a calmed voice, all right, I guess. Is that all you wanted? Because I have training to do. Naruto. Show more respect, shouted Iruka. It's all right, Iruka. And no, it's not, Naruto. During that same meeting, your punishment for the Hyuga prank was decided, spoke Sarutobi in a flat voice. Hearing this, Naruto winces. So what's the verdict, Ji-san? Starting tomorrow, you will be doing the Hyuga's laundry for the next month. This means 7 days a week starting at 4 o'clock every day. That's all, really. I thought I would be doing a lot more. Asked Naruto, blatantly surprised. I don't understand it either. This punishment was requested by Hiashi himself. I suppose he thinks it's fitting since you dirtied them in the first place. Hiashi requested this. I wonder if he's up to something. Or maybe he wants a more severe punishment and they wouldn't allow it, so he's trying to get me alone. Thought Naruto. Well, I guess I got off rather easy. This will cut into my training time, but I can live with it, commented Naruto with a foxy grin. Also, Naruto, I want to tell you to be careful around the Hyuga. Naruto just stared back at the Sandaime as if asking for more. Hiyashi is one of the council members that was informed of your changes and asked for this punishment after the fact. I believe he has something planned, but I have no idea what that may be. All I can advise you to do is to keep a low profile until he shows his intent. Naruto, getting a slight tingle from Q clearly saying she understood, said, "Alright, thanks Ji-san. I'll be sure to keep an eye out. Iruka, I have one other matter to discuss with Naruto. Could you please wait outside?" "Of course, Hokage-sama. Naruto, behave and be respectful. I will be waiting outside for you," said Iruka while he glared for a little intimidation. After Iruka had left the room, the Sandaime stood and walked over to the pictures of the past Hokages that rested on the left side of the room. He then opened up the picture of the Shadaime. Behind the picture, to Naruto's surprise, was a safe with multiple seals as well as the classic lock. "Ji-san, what's going on? Naruto-kun, I once told you that I did not know of your family and that they probably died in the Kyuubi's attack, yes? Of course, I've known about that for years now. Naruto, I need to ask you to remain silent for this. I will tell you everything all at once because I'm afraid that if you stop me, I will not have the resolve to continue. Is that alright?" Naruto was currently watching the Hokage's face intently trying to find a reason for his change of mood. He had never seen him like this. The aged man was sweating, the hand that was holding the safe was trembling and he saw something in his eyes he never thought he'd see from the strongest shinobi in the village, fear. "Q. What's going on? This isn't normal. Should I listen? Release your chakra Naruto-kun, so I may get his scent." Without question he returned to his full form and after a moment, Q said, "I don't understand this either. He seems scared, but it seems more for your reaction than anything. I would say be quiet and listen to him for now." "Thanks Q." To the Sandaime, it seemed as if Naruto had went quiet for a moment until his more animalistic features returned and then took a few whiffs of air. This was obvious to the Hokage as Naruto deciding if he was trustworthy or not. It hurt the old man greatly that he didn't have the boy's trust, but with the boy's past and how he was currently acting, he couldn't blame him. At Naruto's solid nod, he opened the safe. "Naruto, this is a story of a wonderful woman that was considered by this village, a gift from heaven, and her connection to you." As he spoke these words he pulled a cylinder from the safe. It was beautiful in design. The object as a whole was about 10 inches long and 4 inches wide, just slightly bigger than the average scroll. It was polished silver with what looked like hundreds of kanji covering it in the most beautiful patterns woven together perfectly. The kanji had just a slightly darker shade to them to make them noticeable, almost a gunmetal finish. The object was obviously a scroll holder of some kind, but what sort of scroll would need such care? Even the forbidden scroll of seals, supposedly the most valuable scroll in the village, was only on a stand in a glass case. "This, Naruto, is the most valuable treasure of your father's clan." At these words Naruto stood to shout, but a raised hand reminded him of his promise and calmed his boiling blood. He never broke his word. That is the only reason for his current restraint. "I know Naruto, I have lied to you for your entire life. I have no excuse for it, and I understand if you hate me now, but understand it was your parents' request for their identities to be kept a secret until an appropriate time." By this time, Naruto was growling so loud in his head that even Q was backing off. How could that baka keep this from him? Even if Naruto doesn't hate him for this, the boy's trust in him is gone for good. You only earn his trust once. He'll have to do something incredible to get even a sliver of it back. "Naruto, before I begin to explain, I need you to place some of your blood on the lid of this container while channeling chakra to it." "Why do I need to do that?" asked Naruto with a voice laced with obvious doubt. With a sigh, "This scroll is Your family heirloom. Only one of your father's blood descendants can unlock it. If he was still alive, he would have to place his blood on this seal to pass it down to you, but since he is no longer living, you must place your blood on it so it will recognize you and only you. The chakra you channel into it will set the lock to need your chakra for the key. This will not only open it, but ensure that only you may do so afterwards. Without a word, Naruto approaches the desk while sliding his thumb along one of his canines and then applies his chakra and blood as requested. As soon as Naruto returns to his seat, the kanji on the case glow a faint red and begin to spin into a different pattern. Then, with a burst of blue light, the kanji stop opening the lid to reveal a black silky lining and a scroll unlike any Naruto had ever seen. Come here, Naruto. With no other prodding, he carefully approaches the desk. This, Naruto, is your birthright. This scroll is older than any other artifact I have ever seen. I believe that you already understand the idea of sealing non-living items in scrolls, do you not? With a nod as the only reply, the Sandaime continues. Every time you seal or unseal an item, you must use either blood or chakra, and must always rewrite the seal. This is a rule that has existed for thousands of years and none have been able to defeat it, except for this scroll. As the aged man said this, he carefully pulled out a scroll which seemed to be made of a black metal with a single bar of polished silver on one side. The moment the scroll was fully visible, not only could Naruto hear Kyuubi's surprise, he could literally feel it. What is it, Q? That scroll is an artifact from the Great War. I had thought that all relics of that war were destroyed. For any single item to be left is disastrous. In the wrong hands, it could cause untold chaos. If this is truly your family heirloom, there may be more to you than I ever thought. Naruto, after hearing this, begins to stare intently at the object as if trying to see through it. Seeing this reaction, the Hokage continues. This scroll, as well as its container, are made of a metal that no one has been able to damage or even identify. For some unknown reason, this scroll only requires for the owner to write the kanji of the slot you wish to seal an item into upon the item in question, write the object's name at the corresponding slot in the scroll and add chakra. The Sandaime softly grabs the polished bar on the scroll and gently pulls to reveal a polished soft silver material with 6 slots slightly set into it. The bar, polished surface, and the black case all seem to be one piece. No hinge, seam, or other sign indicates that they were ever 3 separate pieces. It was as if it had always been this way. Out of the 6 slots only 3 are occupied. In blue kanji the first slot says scrolls, the second says chest, and the last says Chouzenshuru challenge. Naruto, could you please come here and channel some chakra into each of these slots please? Standing as if in a trance, Naruto approaches the desk and does as asked. The first slot reveals 8 scrolls. 1 yellow with blue trim, 1 the classic brown and the last 6 are sitting in a box of pure white. The scrolls in the box are also pure white with light green trim around them, numbered 1 through 6. The next slot reveals a chest about the size of the forbidden scroll with a lock and key. The last slot reveals 4 black rings, with black silk trim that runs the inside and strange kanji in sliver are circling the outside of the rings. At the appearance of the black rings, Q for the second time becomes extremely flustered. What is it this time, Q? If anything can get to you like this, it has to be serious. Who are you, Naruto-kun? Huh, who are you? No human should have that scroll or those rings. Both the Biju and summons worked tirelessly to destroy all of those weapons. How could they still exist at all? After a moment in a hurt voice, I don't know who I am Q. I never have. What are they anyway? They don't look that special. After realizing what she had just said, Q said in a soft voice, I'm sorry Naruto-kun, but for those items to have eluded us means that they were hidden well, well. Kami-sama himself guided us to all the weapons and artifacts of that war for a reason. Either he decided to allow your ancestors to keep them, or someone was able to fool his sight. Either way, this points to something much bigger than family heirlooms. This whole exchange happened in the span of a second, but the seriousness had returned stronger than ever. As the Sandaime continued, giving the history of the scroll, thoughts of, how could that happen? Or, what could this mean? Circled both Naruto's and Kyuubi's minds. These two scrolls here are not to be given to you until you become a Chunin. This was the request of your father, so I will be placing them back into the safe until then. The Sandaime then places the yellow and brown scrolls back within the safe and then closed it. The chest you see holds your inheritance of money, family treasures, and other things from your parents. It is yours to use as you like. It is by far no legendary treasure, but it could allow you to live your life without worry. The rings are special weights your father used to train with, and are one of the secrets to his skills and speed. They are genius in design, and as ancient as the scroll. By absorbing small amounts of chakra that naturally flow from your muscles, they increase in weight until they are just slightly heavier than what you are comfortable with and then continue to grow with you as you strengthen. Because of this, they constantly exercise your muscles without interfering with your performance too greatly. This also gives you the advantage when you remove them. They also are easily removable. By unhooking the latch on either the left or right hand ones, all of them will detach as well. I wanted to give you these items now because I realize it was wrong of me to keep everything from you. I should have explained it to you sooner. Let you know that you had a family and learn of them, but I thought I was doing the right thing. I see now that you need these things, especially what your mother left for you. You already said that I can't know about my parents, so why are you doing this? Was Naruto's sharp question. I can't tell you who your father was until you reach the rank of Chunin, but I can tell you about your mother. Naruto's eyes immediately softened, and in a shaky voice he asks, who was she? Taking a deep breath, she was, truly an angel. She was kind, strong, intelligent, a medical shinobi with no equal, and quite honestly you act just like her. Loud, brash, stubborn, but are always able to take a situation seriously when needed. Under her care, even the most injured would survive. For her bravery, kindness, and the fact that no person had ever died under her care, the people began to call her Konoha's Tenshi. Her name was Uzumaki Kira of the former Whirlpool country. At this point, he pulls a picture out of his desk and hands it to Naruto. With trembling hands, he studies the picture. The woman could only be described as beautiful. She had cream-colored skin, dark violet eyes, and long blazing red hair. She was dressed in a white kimono with purple flowers decorating it with a red sash tying it shut. She was sitting on a stump with the wind blowing her hair. Naruto was hypnotized by her, and the only thing that brought him back was Kyu's voice. She's beautiful, Naruto-kun. I can see where you get your spirit from. It shows in her eyes. Thank you, Kyu. When Naruto finally locked eyes with him again, Sarutobi knew it was time to continue. I'm sorry, I don't know much more about her than that, Naruto-kun. Your father always kept their lives very secret. Also, because she wasn't a military shinobi, I had no control over her. All I could do was request her assistance from the hospital for missions, but my old student Tsunade was the one to train her in the beginning. If you ever meet her, she could tell you more about her. Naruto was struggling to process all this and was failing badly. For the second time in 8 years, he was about to cry. These 6 scrolls here are her gift to you. She wrote these scrolls herself and promised that anyone who finished them would be able to qualify for a class -1 medic's license. It was her dream that you would follow in her footsteps, or at least learn the basics of healing. She always said that any fool could kill someone, but it took someone truly skilled to save someone. By the time he had finished speaking, Naruto was once again staring into the photo of his mother, in deep thought. My mother was a medic nin and it was her dream for me to be one as well. Should I believe him? Could he just be trying to manipulate me? Is this really even my mother? If you are so unsure, Naruto-kun, then just ask him again and focus your hearing on his heartbeat. If he is lying, it will skip. I will also judge by his scent. Alright Q, let's see. Naruto then focuses his all on the Sandame's heartbeat. Ji-san, is this really my mother and did she really want me to become a medic? Bum bum, yes, she did Naruto-kun. When your father sealed these items away for you, those were the last words your parents spoke to each other and me. Bum bum. No skip, he told me the truth. Everything he said was the truth. Yes, I believe that he is one of the only people we can truly trust in this village. What am I supposed to do now, Ji-san? Taking a calming breath, I would suggest that you think on what you want to do. I gave you these scrolls now because chakra control is something you will need, and not only do these scrolls contain the most advanced exercises, they are your mother's last gift to you. You need to decide if you want to build off what she left for you or not. Your mother's life work and her dream for your future are right here. This is what you hold now. With this, he gently pushes the items over to Naruto. After sitting for a good while just allowing his mind to wander, Naruto uses the ink on the desk to reseal the items and then places the scroll back in the cylinder. He places the scroll in his pouch while heading for the door. I need to think about this, Ji-san. I'll let you know later. The venerable third Hokage could only hang his head thinking, in my life, I have always lived by what I thought was right. When I look back, I can only see two regrets. Allowing my eyes to be clouded by my hopes for Orochimaru, and my handling of that boy. I'm sorry Minato, here I have failed to protect him. Outside the office. Naruto, you were in there for a while. Are you ready to train again? We still have a lot of work to do today, said Iruka with a smile. I'm sorry sensei, but after everything I just heard, I need some time alone. If it's okay with you, can we please meet again tomorrow at the same time? Asked Naruto in a broken voice. After a pause to think, of course, I'll see you at the same training ground at 7 a.m. Before you go, take this Naruto, said Iruka as he handed a piece of paper to Naruto. He pocketed the paper instantly. Perfect sensei, see you then. Naruto took his leave without another word. What did the Hokage tell him? Well, maybe his new apartment will cheer him up. This gives me time to plan the specifics of his training for the next couple of weeks tonight anyway. See you tomorrow, Naruto. While walking through Konoha, Naruto didn't even acknowledge the glares he was getting, he was too deep in his thoughts to care. The only reason no one had noticed his features was that Kyuubi was holding them for him, knowing that in his state of mind, he wouldn't be able to. What should I do? If I become a medic, can I still have my dream? Should I just follow the path my mother left me, or should I make my own? Were just some of his thoughts. I can't interfere with this. He needs to decide this for himself. No matter how much I want him to be alright, this is a path only he can decide to follow. I will stand behind him whatever he chooses. Naruto. After climbing the stairs to his apartment, Naruto instantly notices the differences. The graffiti and telltale dents and scorch marks of the vandals are gone. His door is now a pale white with a ramen bowl on the front with a sign that says Uzumaki under it. He also notices the symbol of the Anbu on his door. He knew that the Anbu used this symbol to tell others that this is their area or other property such as their safe houses or members. Ji-san must have placed this here to ward off the vandals. I can't believe he got me a new door too. When Naruto tries to open his door, he notices that it's locked. After digging for his key, he finally opens the door with the ghostly clicking sound. I haven't locked my door for years. There isn't anything for them to steal anyway, and all they ever do is break what little I have, so it never really mattered, was his morbid train of thought as he entered his apartment. After turning on the light, Naruto is absolutely shocked by the apartment. The hellish, stained, smelly place he once knew is gone. The walls were now fixed and painted a dark blue, almost a nighttime color. His floors are now a polished dark stained wood. His once broken windows now seem to be triple paned. All his old furniture is gone and replaced by what looks like black leather. The kitchen is the most surprising. All the appliances he never thought he would have were there. A full-size refrigerator, freezer, wide-top stove and oven, toaster, coffee maker, as well as it seems he has a new set of pots, pans, as well as new china sitting on the counter still wrapped. I can't believe Ji-san did this. This is more than I ever thought I would have, and my apartment looks great. You deserve it, Naruto-kun. Why don't we take the full tour, and then put everything away before dinner? Said Q with warmth and a smile. Sure thing, Q. I wonder what else he did. As Naruto explored his new apartment, he began with the first of his 4 rooms, which is the combination kitchen, living room. The living room has a huge sofa by the back wall, a love seat just to the left by the hallway, and a coffee table between the two. What looks like a 38 inches television with a lazy boy in front of it sits next to the balcony that looks out at the Hokage mountain. On the balcony are a simple chair and side table as well as a combo washer and dryer. Next, the kitchen counters seem to have been replaced with black marble. All the new appliances and china are there as